Welcome to the Jamodi podcast. We are all surrounded by amazing coaches and leaders. So let's get an inside look at not just what they do, but how they do what they do. After all, becoming the best versions of ourselves is Jamodi, just a matter of doing it. Coaches, we are all searching for ways to better evaluate players in order to give meaningful feedback. Over 15 years ago, I put together a test called the Jamodi Skill Rating. The JSR takes players through a series of tests involving basketball skill or athleticism, giving them one rating at the end. Their JSR rating will give you clarity on what needs to be discussed with players and parents on areas they need to focus on improving. I test our players at least 4 times each year. They're able to compete against each other, past players' scores, and most importantly, their past performances. If you'd like to start testing your athletes, email me at jamodipodcast@gmail.com for more information. Great point. And my question to you is, as somebody who's had a perfect season, and I'm just going to keep throwing, it's just so cool to say. It's so cool to say. But doing what you've done, but besides that, how do you be a coach that does allow the freedom for players to feel comfortable enough to ask a question, to give a suggestion, but then also be a coach that your word and what you say is what we do? Because I think it's really easy to go either way, either side. You're a dude that gets run over completely and you have no control, or not that Bobby Knight was never asked questions, but obviously as a guy that's known for it's his way. Man, how do you get that blend?
Yeah, I can just tell you how we did it. I don't know if it works for everybody, but I think it's important to cast a big vision and sell it. That hey, look at us. We're not just use my team for example. We're good athletes, but we weren't the best athletes. And we had good, pretty good shooters, but we didn't have the best shooters in the state. But to cast a big vision about how good we could be together, playing this way. We're probably not going to play that way because of our personnel, and this is why. But if we play this way, we can be successful. And they can jump in and believe in it and see it work. And then I think the other part is you have to develop your leaders. And I don't know if I can remember being a kid and thinking I want to be a leader. How to be a leader?
Yeah.
What do I say to be a leader? And I've always told the kids, I need you to talk and I need you to say what I would say. If you don't know what to say, just think to yourself, what would coach say? And then say that again. And then, I would tell them that all the time. And then when things are going bad in practice, I'll point out hey, you guys are not very good without a coach. You're a lot better when you have someone coaching you. And then that's good.
That.
It's better when you have 2 coaches. Think about when you're on a JV court with 1. Now you're on a varsity coach with 2. Varsity court with 2 coaches. And now just think if you had 3, 4, 5, 10, 15 coaches, we could be unstoppable. And then so what I want is when this kid doesn't go to rebound, I don't want to be the only one saying it.
Yeah.
And so we get to the point where if we say the same thing over and over and they keep making the same mistake and no one else is helping us coach, we stop and we discipline the whole group. We just went through this last week where we're doing a drill. When you finish in the lane, finish off 2 feet. Okay, kid goes off 1. We say it. Then we stop them. We're like, hey guys, are y'all listening? And we do it again. And then I tell them, y'all need to help me. And then they didn't. So we made them all go run on the track. We come back. We got 30 coaches in the room. All these freshmen are like, jump off 2 feet. We didn't have that problem anymore. So I think developing those leaders is special. Is really how you do that. Because then they come into the huddle, they say what you want to say, because it really matters more when they're saying it. One of my favorite parts about this journey was being down in San Antonio, because we weren't going to teach anything new. We had kind of done it. We're still coaching them, but maybe midway through the 3rd quarter, every time we came into the huddle, I pretty much gave the huddle over to the seniors. and their conviction and passion to like win it was, they were saying the same thing I was saying. They were coaching each other up. They're holding each other accountable. You got to quit turning the ball over. This is, when we run Gator, this is going to be open. And I just kind of listened. And then if they missed something or forgot something, I would jump in and say, hey, yeah, by the way, don't let that kid shoot. And then 1, 2, 3, break it out. But they just kind of, it all came together where they were coaching each other up to say what we say, to do what we do to be successful. And they knew the formula, they knew the answer, they knew what to say. And I got to kind of back out and let it all happen. It was awesome.
There's like two big nuggets there that I wanted to go back through. One was the order that you had those reminders, or that that you created the system of having a lot of coaches. I think often, especially maybe when we're younger, first mistake, get on the line. Yeah. I told you to go off of one, get on the line. That's a way. I mean, it is a way of doing it. And you may get them extrinsically wanting to not do that again, but it's not going to be very deep, and it's going to be mainly fear-based. You asked them, you said, hey, I need your help in reminding each other. Like, you gave them a chance. And I think that that's a big part, is because then now, obviously, we have the ultimate motivational tool, which is pain. But we don't want to start with pain. We want to see if they can get on the same page with us. But then, so I like that order. Let me ask you about your assistant coaches real quick, because it's been fun seeing the pictures of your staff after in the locker room. How did you go about, using them throughout the year, delegating responsibility? How did that group work?
Let me go back to your comment about the order. Like you mentioned, like screaming at them to get on the line when they make their first mistake. Well, coaches do that, right? Yeah. And they're nuts. It's just,
you said it. You said it, not me. Yeah. You said it.
But God, I say God's kind of put like Philippians 4 on my heart for like this season. This is like my season, or the passage for my season. Yeah. And right there in verse 5, it says, let your reasonableness be known to everyone. And like, that should be a mark of, not only a Christian, but a good coach, is that is one reasonable person. And so, like the consequences right there is that, is it reasonable for a kid to jump off one foot because he's always done it, to run him out to the track? No. But if you correct, stop, tell everybody, they still don't do it, well, then maybe the next, it should escalate,
Coach, before you go to assistants, thank you for sharing that. Like, I think that's such a good nugget. And if I was to look back over, let's say I have a player, come in from, he was at year 1 or 2 with me at Faith. It's year 11 now. I would hope that, like, one of the main things he sees from a workout, or if he spends any time, is that I'm more reasonable than I used to be. Like, I think it's such a good nugget there. Like, what coaches,
how do you run practices differently now?
Yeah, go back and look over this your last few years, or right now, like, what parts of me as a coach, or what standards am I holding, or what rules do we have, or whatever, that just don't make sense. Because at the end of the day, I think kids and parents will be on board with things more if they make sense.
No, I agree. And I mean, we could go down the list of things that don't make sense, but I think coaches tear their kids down because they're not reasonable throughout the year, whether it's tearing down their legs or tearing down their confidence. Like a lot of what we've done to our kids and their legs is not reasonable in any way. So I wouldn't want to be in their position either.
How did you use your assistants to maybe kind of create this environment too?
Well, so they were bought in like the kids. They really were from day one. So my varsity assistant, he was just named 6A assistant coach of the year.
Nice.
Pretty cool. He has a lot of experience, great resume, but his first public school, high school job was with me 6 years ago. So we've been together for 6 years. He was an eighth grade coach before that, and then I got the job, got to promote him to JV coach and varsity assistant. And he was really, really bought in. And then, we had two other varsity assistants before then, Coach Richardson, Coach Lambert, and they really wanted. We have a good, strong relationship. We care for each other, we love each other, so they really want, kind of the way when you and I worked for Clarkson, we really wanted to do well for him. And we didn't want to disappoint him. And so, because of the relationship we've had with these kids, moving them up, all that we've been through with them, like we wanted to do it for each other, and they didn't want to let me down. They didn't want to let the kids down. The kids didn't want to let us down. And so we really were right on the same page. And if we weren't, it was usually my fault because I didn't communicate well enough. But like, oh, okay, hold on. I said this, you heard that, and I should have said something different. So
have you always been able to like have that level of accountability or self-awareness with yourself?
I don't know. That's a good question. I don't know.
Are you self-aware to know if?
No, I mean, I can look back and see growth. So that. I mean, I can remember at a young age thinking coaching's got to be easy because I kind of already know basketball. And then going to, you've had Todd Duncan on here. He was my high school coach. And then when I was in college, he was still at Trinity. So I got to go and help at Trinity. And I remember thinking, oh, I don't know anything about basketball once I got there. I was still 22 and just started, like, I couldn't even coach because I was learning. I couldn't even, I just wanted to sit there with a notepad because I couldn't yell out anything helpful because honestly, they were doing, I didn't know what they were doing. They just started teaching motion and I didn't know motion. And so I was really just learning. And so that kind of opened up the world of, everything we don't know. And so I can look back to that and say, yeah, there's growth from here to there. There's growth from here to there.
I was way too arrogant early on in what I thought and what I knew. And I'm so proud of how humble I am now. No, I think, but I mean, working for Clarkson, I wish I would have been more of a sponge instead of thinking like I know what I'm doing. And then with Watson too, like he gave me a lot of rope, and he allowed me to do a lot of things. But man, I hope so.
About the humility of those guys to empower young guys that didn't know.
That's a great point.
Good ideas, and they probably knew we didn't know what we were doing.
And then they let us just go. They let me go on my own and just fail. Like, so my point is like, what teaches you or what humbles you the most, man? Some losing seasons where the plan is just bad. Like where what you thought was going to be the right thing because it's always been the right thing. You know what the right thing is. Just doesn't work out, and you realize the culture that you feel like you're so good at building just isn't very good. Like I don't want that to happen to every coach, but I feel like it does, and that in those tough moments, that's probably when we learn the most. And not that you didn't learn a lot during the 40-win run, but you had some years before that that's kind of got you to where you are.
Yeah, absolutely. I think all your experiences get you to where you are, but our relationship started 17 years ago in fairly humble circumstances. You're the volunteer, and I was the ninth grade B team coach.
Wasn't even getting paid to be there. They're probably like, "Why is this dude still hanging around here?"
You're in a portable reading to kids.
Look at us now. You're 40-0 at a 6A state champion, and I'm at Grapevine Faith. One of us has arrived. One of us has arrived, and the other no. But thank you for checking out today's episode. Please take a moment to subscribe to this podcast, share it with your fellow coaches, and find us on social media for what's coming up next on the Jamodi podcast. It's just a matter of doing it.